lie through his teeth repeatedly to FBI agents who show up to interview him. And that's specifically what Barr argued in the brief. And I don't see how any judge allows this to stand.
So President Trump told reporters that he brought up the Russia investigation with Russian President Vladimir Putin yesterday. But the official White House readout of the call doesn't mention that. Instead, it says the two leaders spoke to commemorate the 75th anniversary of Victory in Europe Day and discuss the global pandemic, among other issues. Here's what the president said on what he told Putin about the Russia investigation.
They're a very important nation. We're the most powerful nation. They're a very powerful nation. Why would we not be dealing with each other? But the Russia hoax, this absolute dishonest hoax, made it very difficult for our nation and their nation to deal. And we discussed that. I said, you know, it's a very appropriate time because things are falling out now and coming in line, showing what a hoax this whole investigation was. It was a total disgrace. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see a lot of things happen over the next number of weeks. This is just one piece of a very dishonest puzzle.
You know, he can say hoax as many times as he wants to say hoax. It doesn't change the fact that he would be sitting in jail right now if he weren't president of the United States and if there weren't a corrupt attorney general. He committed one act of obstruction of justice after another. Robert Mueller said, I can't get to that as far as whether he can be charged in a criminal complaint because he's president of the United States, and Justice Department guidelines don't allow me to do that. But make no mistake of it, Donald Trump committed one crime after another. You may not want to hear it. Maybe your relatives don't want to hear it. It will be in the history books because it lays out perfectly as an obstruction of justice case. And of course, he can call it a hoax all he wants. We got the quotes. We've got the quotes. There's one quote after another where Donald Trump admits that he committed obstruction of justice that would throw either you or me in jail if we had done the same thing. You know, Jeremy, it's so fascinating that Flynn, he lies about a meeting with Russia's ambassador. Trump is talking to Putin about this case being dismissed. It reminded me, and I went back to look, that in May of 2017, do you remember when that same Russian ambassador was in the White House and the foreign minister was in the White House, but they wouldn't let any American press in the White House? And this was what Donald Trump said to the Russians on that day. I just fired the head of the FBI. He was crazy. A real nut job. I faced great pressure because of Russia. That's been taken off. The President of the United States admitting that the FBI investigation on him acting improperly with Russia caused him great pressure. I faced great pressure because of Russia. That's been taken off. The president so immediately running to the Russian foreign minister, immediately running to the Russian ambassador and bragging that he fired the director of the FBI to stop the Russia investigation. He's so stupid. He didn't realize, he's just so stupid. He didn't realize that if you fire the director of the FBI because he's investigating you because of dealings with Russia, that everybody's lying about in your entire administration, that's just going to cause the American people to want more investigation. And so here it is. It comes full circle. He hires his corrupt Roy Cohn. His corrupt Roy Cohn gets rid of throws out a case where the guy has pled guilty twice, where Donald Trump has said, I had to fire him because he's a liar. He lied to the vice president about his meeting with the Russians. He lied to the FBI about his meeting with the Russians. He's such a liar, I had to fire him. And so yesterday, Barr decides to throw out that case. Trump celebrates, talks to the Russians yet again on the other side of this, bragging like he did about firing the FBI director. Yesterday, bragging about how his corrupt Roy Cohn threw out a case of his national security advisor lying to the FBI about contacts with Russia. Jeremy, where do we begin?
Well, I know the Russia investigation, Joe, kind of seems quaint at this point because it was superseded by the Ukraine scandal, which led to the president's impeachment, and now the coronavirus scandal. But just to look back again at the origins of the Russia investigation, career counterintelligence, career law enforcement professionals were looking at Russian interference in the 2016 election to benefit Donald Trump. And once those career professionals blew the whistle on that, the Obama administration sanctioned Russia for that interference. And the very next moment, what happened? The incoming transition team of the president, led by Mike Flynn, called the Russians and said, don't worry about it. Don't say a thing. We're going to take care of you. These sanctions are going to be lifted. And so when the FBI was investigating this whole matter and they learned of those conversations, they naturally went to ask Mike Flynn about those. And he covered them up. He was untruthful. He lied directly to the FBI. Now, we know what he lied about. We know the setting. We know the context. What we still don't know, even to this day, Joe, is why. Why did Trump and his team want to cover up the fact that they were relaxing sanctions on the Russians? What was in that secret channel that we still don't know to this day? And I think those questions have yet to be answered. So, yes, I think yesterday's filing, which was a de facto pardon by the president of Mike Flynn, in effect was, we know what it is. It's about giving your political cronies a get-out-of-jail-free card. But we don't know the underlying national security implications, and we have to find those out.
All right, Jeremy Bash and Julia Ainsley, thank you both for your reporting this morning. Julia, say hi to Mary.